You're watching TVC Breakfast. Now, the federal government ordered the closure of schools in late March in a bid to curb the spread of coronavirus. The lengthy stay of students and teachers at home is gradually becoming a source of concern to stakeholders in the education sector. Now, some states are now preparing to reopen schools, but the Ministry of Health says it is being guided by the advice of experts, noting that the decision to open or reopen schools in the country will be carefully arrived at because education is on the concurrent list of the Nigerian Constitution. All right, joining me right now is Public Affairs Commentator Smart Apejoye. Smart, I'm glad to have you join me right now on Skype. Now, talk to us basically, when it comes to the issue of reopening of schools, as much as there is concern that students have stayed at home for so long, this is a holiday so long and too long, but the issue of safety is something that cannot be compromised. Talk to us, that's balance between trying to open schools and thinking of safety. Should we open now?
Well, 100% I disagree, and I'm not in support of opening our schools right now. Why I'm not in support is because of the fact that we don't have the infrastructures in place. We've not put in the enabling environment that will allow these children learn with comfort. And again, we'll be putting the whole family in. We'll be putting the children at risk. We'll be putting the family they will be returning back to. We'll be putting them at risk. We'll be putting the teachers also. We'll be putting them at risk. Now, I'll give you a typical example of some schools that I have visited, even during this lockdown, that their gates are open, perhaps, or that have no gates. As we talk to you now, so many schools within Igbobo, Ikorodu, and Berigbe area does not have water. They don't have public water, neither do they have borehole. Even the few ones that have boreholes before, those boreholes have collapsed, because these are the schools that I visited. Well, some schools within Berigbe, yes, they are trying to put in the fence. And I asked, is it the fence that is more important now, or having a borehole that will serve these children when they resume? Some schools in Igbobo, they don't even have good toilet facility. Look, in the course of my campaign for Babajide Sanwo-Olu through a New Dawn campaign organization, we visited some schools to give them exercise books. What we saw on ground was that some of these headmistresses, some of these teachers that have cars, were bringing water in jerry cans to their schools to either use for toilet or for other personal use. Now, these children could not. So these children, they will tell you whenever they go to the toilet, they will tell you they go to do shuttle. I asked them what is shuttle. They explained to me, which is absurd. Now, we've not put in this facility in ground. If you say they have to wash their hand, where will they be getting water to wash their hand? Who will be providing the soap? Who will be providing the sanitizer? So the schools are not ready. Now that is on the public school. Now to the private school. Yes, the private schools, I've seen some private schools that are putting things in place. But let me tell you, the private schools, they are not doing it because they love the children, because they have missed the children. They are doing it because parents have not paid school fees because their children are at home. And because their children are at home, they have not paid school fees, the schools could not pay their teachers. And if the schools could not pay their teachers, they are likely to lose these teachers. Also, most of them have borrowed money from the bank, and they have based their repayments, their loan repayments, because they are based it on the school fees from children. Some of these schools have, because they've not had money from the school, the repayment, even if it has to be restructured, is accruing more interest. Perhaps the federal government has waived the penalty for late payment of loan, but that does not mean that the interest have been waived. You still have to pay interest. Where would they get the money to pay the interest?
In this case, Smart, would you suggest that maybe, because like from what you said now, private schools are more ready to open than the public schools. So would you say that schools can resume in phases? Would that be welcome?
You see, in the first place, it's just like, Mike, you running out of your house to the car, only for you to wait for your wife again to come and join you. So why don't you wait for your wife to join you so that the two of you leave the room and get to the car at the same time? The problem we have is that even though if the private schools resume, the public schools, they are still going to take the same exam. The same exam I mean is that they are going to write WAEC together. They are going to do the GCE or NECO together. So what is the rush? Again, like I've said again, it is not because of the fact that the private school, because they love the children. No, it's because they know if the children are in school, the parents will be forced to pay school fees.
All right.
So that is why they want the children. What I expect at this moment is that, look, our government should have created a bailout, or our government should create a bailout for these private schools.
Okay.
Let the private schools have some bailout where they can pay their teachers, and maybe at a zero-free interest rate, because when the school resume, they can start.
Now let's start from the Daily Times newspaper. Daily Times is saying presidency to critics, APC NEC meeting was via video conference, and says no law barred president from holding meetings in certain sections of presidential villa. A ruling party chides PDP over attack on president for hosting NEC meeting. Okay. That's the Daily Times newspaper. Blueprint is next now. Blueprint newspaper says troops neutralized 12 bandits in Zamfara, Katsina State. Troops neutralized bandits, 12 of them in Zamfara and Katsina State. That's the Blueprint newspaper. Business AM this morning is looking at, saying a warning, global insolvencies loom amid financial recovery. Banking sector resilience to be tested. All right, global insolvencies loom amid financial recoveries. All right, from Business AM, let's go to Leadership newspaper. Leadership newspaper now says Nigerian operators lose 150 billion naira to 2020 Hajj cancellation. And airlines, travel agencies seek bailout from government. All right, these are stories, aviation stories and so on from the Leadership newspaper. Now from there, let's go to National Economy. National Economy says from COVID-19, NIMASA red flags vessels from US, UK, others. FAN boosts safety with airport flight spacing strategies. And COVID-19 cases hit 10 million globally. Okay, that's the National Economy. News Direct is next now. And News Direct says from COVID-19, no two airlines will board same time. And the FAN is saying this as the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. No two airlines will board same time. Okay. This is as flights are about to resume gradually. The airspace, is preparing to resume full operation. Okay, now let's start from there maybe, Smart. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, I guess you would have seen some of the videos of the test run of the airports, especially in Abuja, where the markings and the demarcations to instill the protocol of physical distancing and all of that at the airports, and the sitting arrangement, all of those are being put in place to ensure that they comply with the health protocol as to putting people away from each other to reduce clusters. What do you make of all this preparation at the airports and in the aviation industry?
First, I think the FAN is just trying to maintain the protocol set in place by COVID-19, by World Health Organization on COVID-19. Going further, it's saying two airlines cannot board at the same time shows that Lagos and Abuja, they are the busiest airports we have in Nigeria. Now, if you are saying we cannot board more than two airlines, so how many airlines are you going to board in a day? Considering the fact that are you going to board in a day? Considering the fact that we have reduced the passengers that we go per airline, so definitely there will be a surge for many airlines. Because perhaps if say an airline that is supposed to carry 190 passengers is now going to take 80, not to forget that you are opening the economy. So many people have things to do in Abuja. There will probably be a surge. That shows our airport is small, but it's a good place to start with. It's a good thing to start with. Let's open the airport and let us ensure that the protocols are put in place. But however, let us also begin to look at the fact that let us make all our airports, let us make them viable. Because if we are going to talk about Lagos and Abuja now, that means people will have to start finding their way from Port Harcourt. Why can't we also open Port Harcourt Airport and also put the same thing in place? Why restricting it to just Lagos and Abuja? We must open Port Harcourt Airport at least. Calabar is not a major airport. You probably get 1 or 2 aircraft landing every day. And what are the passenger capacity? Kaduna, Kano for now, they are not major airports for now. So the major airports, let us get them busy and let us put them in place. If the Port Harcourt Airport is going to operate, people from the eastern area can go to Port Harcourt and board instead of them having to find their way to Lagos. So I think it should be Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt that should be thrown open for now.
All right. As it is now, FAN already had said that people should arrive the airport not less than 3 hours ahead of their flight. Now, another issue there that is of concern is spaces where people can converge, because if people are arriving earlier, and then if we combine it with the latest regulation or the instruction that no 2 airlines will board at the same time, then there's going to be a large crowd of people waiting to board. How much of concern would that be, and how would that jeopardize what they're trying to prevent?
Michael, you see, sometimes when we are at the airports, even at the general aviation terminal, perhaps waiting to board a flight to Abuja, and with there are flight cancellation, you need to see how that airport will be jam-packed. Also at the MM2, you need to see, because of flight cancellation, even there are no space to sit down. Now, we should not forget that, look, flight cancellation could also creep in. If you're now saying that passengers should arrive 3 hours before boarding time, I don't know, honestly. I think it's as good as not even opening the airport. 3 hours before takeoff time, before boarding time, is a huge time. And I won't spend 3 hours of my time. Most people going to Abuja, they are business people. They want to quickly finish their business at work and probably start rushing to the airport. At least, yes, let us obtain the 1 hour that is put in place. It's still okay. But saying 3 hours, that means, and just like I live in Ikorodu now, I want to go to the airport and I have a flight for 7. That means you are telling me to go and sleep at the airport. Because what time will I leave Ikorodu? I cannot leave Ikorodu by 3. Not to forget that leaving Ikorodu to somewhere in Ketu now take you nothing less than 2 hours on its own because of bad road and traffic. So if I now have to go to Abuja, because definitely I have to, immediately after it has been hissed, that means I will probably go and sleep in Ikeja. That is adding more to my cost. I think they should look at it once. They should look at the arrival time once more. It is too huge. 3 hours to stay in an airport, honestly, is huge.
All right. Well, one would say, of course, anything that has to ensure safety of lives and property has to be done one way or the other. It's going to be inconveniencing, but it's going to save lives. That's what some arguments will put it. But on the other hand, let's look at some of the airlines that will be operating. A lot of them are said to be bankrupt one way or the other, needing government's bailout. What do you say?
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that they say that the federal government or the CBN will be announcing bailouts, plans for airlines this week. I think they had better do. You see, in every sector of the economy, presently in Nigeria, we need CBN or the federal government intervention in every aspect. Not only because, but because we're talking about aviation, I probably want to narrow it to aviation alone. They need huge. Not forget that these aircraft have been on ground for over 3 months. So for over 90 days, they need to be put in place. Also, their staff, perhaps most of these, even when they were in full operation, some of them are holding their staff. So we need to even see that these staff are probably motivated so that they can do their work, they can carry out their work. Considering the fact that even they are taking risk, that they take a lot of risk, they should not be over-strangulated. They should not be punished because of this thing. Let us look at the way that federal government can give them intervention. If any is owing their salary, clear the backlog of salary, and perhaps the area where you can mitigate their expenditure, because the cost of aviation, I know the cost of aviation fuel must have come down now because of the fact that it is not in high demand, just like we have the cost of fuel, the cost of petrol and cost of diesel coming down. But perhaps the government also need to look at how they could assist them. they need a lot of assistance at this point in time. So, and this is what we must do to assist. This is how we can just assist them. Let us give them a bailout. And the bailout should not, it should be done swiftly. It should be done immediately. Not announcing it this week now, and it will take another 1 month to implement.
All right. Another issue that is related to this somehow is the people going on pilgrimage this year. Of course, a lot of people have had prepared, saved their monies before COVID-19 came on. And as the airspace is beginning to open up and countries will begin to open their airspaces, people will be ready to go on Hajj and then on pilgrimage to Jerusalem and all of that. But experts are saying that everyone should suspend pilgrimage visitation for this year until next year. What do you make?
Even if experts have not said so, Saudi Arabia government have said so, that please stay in your country. Don't come for Hajj this year. Finito. So don't go for Hajj this year. If you have paid, all they just need to do is to ensure that is the government now and the regulatory agency, that is perhaps Nigerian Hajj Commission and the Christian Pilgrimage Commission, should look at it that everybody you have paid to, that this fund that is in the account is blocked, so that they don't start having access to it. So that when next year you don't start telling me story. Because if you refund the money to them, if you want to talk about refund now, I will tell you that my money should have been accrued interest with you. You probably refund me with interest. But having said this, is that let us safeguard the money that they have paid so far and carry it forward to next year. Of course, perhaps next year, if it is 10,000 that is supposed to go, we'll probably have a surge in the number of pilgrimage. But I've not heard from Jerusalem, but Saudi Arabia have said so in a clear term. Please don't come to Hajj this year. So if people are saying don't come to my country, they won't even issue you visa, because what they issue is pilgrimage visa. They won't issue you. So they have said don't come. So that one is settled. They have said don't come. So let us remain. And I think in anywhere, since it is one of the pillars of Islam, one of the 5 pillars of Islam, that if you have money, go to Hajj. But if Saudi Arabia is not saying don't come, let us comply with them. We'll go next year. Let us just pray that
all right.
God spare our life next year.
It's okay.